Trench warfare is horrible, guys. I don't know what else to tell you. We got some live reporting from the trenches of Donetsk, and we're going to see just how brutal this fighting is, even when all you have to do is just sit there. Let's get into this bad boy. Okay, this comes to us from the Sun. You know it. Inside Donetsk trenches. Okay, for context, let's quick take a look at where Donetsk is on the map. So it could be a lot of places, but generally, Donetsk is like this area here. Let's switch it up into English. So sorry, this is Luhansk. This is Donetsk. Is that right? Oh man, I'm not good at this. No, I think I generally think of this as being Donetsk here. I swear I actually do cover this war. This is generally the Donetsk region, okay? Yeah, there's Donetsk itself. And what you guys may or may not know, especially in these areas, this is probably coming to us from troops around this line here. And the reason I think that is, I'll show you in a second. Well, basically, Russia has targeted their offensive efforts into two places. The first is Bakhmut. The second is Avdiivka. They believe if they can encircle Avdiivka, my theory is that they're focusing on encircling, cutting off this town, because if they can seize Avdiivka and seize Bakhmut, Russia can prove to potential supporting states like Belarus, Moldova, Iran, and even China that they can. If they support Russia, they're backing a potential winner. If Russia can't even achieve any meaningful battlefield victory with what they have, no other country is going to support them. And I think it's one of the reasons Ukraine has poured so much effort into holding Bakhmut, simply to deny Russia that victory. And so with these guys in Avdiivka, right, I think they're more territorial defense units, the elite units, I believe, that aren't training for the counteroffensive are stationed in Bakhmut. So these guys are a lot more former cab drivers, IT workers who are now thrust into combat roles. And you guys can see the front lines trace along these rivers. And that's bad because rivers generally represent low points in the terrain, and this is surrounded by low points, and the front lines are cut right through it. So it means that water isn't going to flow downhill or away from these trenches. It's going to pool in them, and that's exactly what it does. As you guys can see, this mud is vicious. It's hard to navigate. It makes everything filthy. I'll tell you, in Afghanistan, one of the ways we solved this problem was actually we contracted Afghans to deliver us truckloads and truckloads of rocks. And by getting big, fairly, I'm going to say about half the size of a fist, pebbles, and covering the muddy ground with them, it really prevented the rain. The mud would form, but we would have that layer of rock to provide us some cover to help keep us dry and keep our feet from getting muddy. Because your feet get muddy, then you traipse the mud into bedrooms, into talks, into areas meant to wash, like latrines, and that creates a serious bacterial problem, right? This isn't just about mud isn't just your mom being mad at you for bringing mud into the house. When you're talking about mud at this scale, you have to think like a petri dish. That water combined with the organic matter that's already in the dirt is forming a perfect petri dish to grow all kinds of bacteria. And then those bacteria, when they get into everything, they can produce all sorts of bad outcomes. Most notably is trench foot or immersion foot, right? Of course, tingling, itchy, painful, swelling, blotchy skin, numbness, prickling, or heavy feeling of the foot. It can become dry and painful after it becomes warm. Blisters may form, right? And keep your stuff dry. And here's the thing. Trench foot, among other things, is really a danger, not only because it takes people out of the fight, but because it can become an infection. In fact, I would show you guys pictures, but I literally cannot because when trench foot becomes infected and necrotic, it's literally like so bad looking. It's like I won't be able to monetize this video. But just trust me when I say that mud is more than just an annoyance. It's a real liability for combat soldiers. So I'm going to point out, I hypothesize that this is actually a commander who's kind of doing the media tour. And I think that because all his shit is clean as all get out. Look at how clean that IBA is. I mean, or that plate carrier. That thing is spotless. His uniform's looking great. But you guys see what I mean, right? Like the whole fighting position, the water just pools. Today's video is sponsored by Siege World War II. Siege World War II is a mobile real-time strategy game where you raise and command armies and engage in epic PvP battles. Unlock and collect the ultimate troop upgrades and tactics, form clans to share cards, and dominate the global leaderboards. With over 40 seasons and over 1 million downloads, this game is constantly getting upgrades, new challenges, and rewards. Use my link in the description or the QR code to download and play for free. And here's a guy who's actually doing the fighting. You can see he is a safe distance from the camera. So I'll tell you guys this story. When I was in Afghanistan, you may have noticed that there's a lot of things that the Ukrainians do. You know, they take their helmets on, they put their helmets off, they get hot, they take off their uniform tops, right? That's just the thing that you do when you're a soldier. You know, you try to get comfortable. The U.S. military culture believes that soldiers should always follow the rules, especially when it comes to gear, right? Never cut corners. And that's the right mentality. But here's the problem. All human beings cut corners in aspects of their lives, okay? Do you, for example, cut corners when you, I don't know, like, I don't know, put gas in your car or, you know, do you follow every single exact protocol when you're, you know, when you're cooking a steak? Do you check it every time to make sure the internal temperature is 165 degrees to ensure bacteria has been eliminated? Do you? No, of course you don't. Right? Do you wash in a sanitizing solution every single vegetable before you eat it? No, you cut corners. Human beings sometimes cut corners and sometimes are meticulous, right? You all know the car guy who never lets anything get out of line with their car. Contrast that, you know, to the person who, you know, and then they can go into the kitchen and just like cut corners in terms of how they prepare their food, right? So every human being does some things really well that they deem important, and some things they kind of cut corners and slack off. And in the U.S. military, they don't believe that's true. They believe that if you fail to follow regulation about anything, it means you are willing to fail to follow regulation about everything. So that means that, for example, our rule was sunglasses on the head. Our commander decided that they didn't want to see sunglasses on the forehead. It was unprofessional. That's not true in the United States. Definitely not true in Afghanistan. It's just something that the U.S. military made the fuck up. But if they saw you, especially if there was a picture of you with the sunglasses on your forehead, the battalion or potentially brigade commander would call your battalion commander, who would call your company commander, who would absolutely crush your soul as a platoon leader. And then you had to go yell at your squad leader for no shit having your sunglasses on your forehead. Now, you may think there's a lot of good reasons. You may want to pop your sunglasses just off your head real quick, right? For example, you were outside where the sun was really bright, and suddenly you walked inside and you had to quickly move the sunglasses up so that you didn't get blinded by the sudden change in light. Well, no, you're supposed to pull them down in that instance, right? And I invested in a nerd strap so I could do that. The point I'm telling you about all this is that our rule for adapting to that oppressive environment was that if there was a camera, you stayed the fuck away from it. Right? If you're not anywhere near the camera, there's no opportunity for you to say something stupid or do something stupid, right? We stopped taking pictures of US forces, period. Not for a security reason, but only so we didn't have our command up our asses, literally about like, we would get yelled at for wearing our elbow pads wrong, wearing the knee pads incorrectly. Just, you could never win. It was unwinnable, right? And so I know a bunch of like salty NCOs are going to be like, no, human beings slack off. It's like, okay, do you brush your teeth right? That's my question. Do you floss every day? Because if you don't floss every day, by army logic, that should mean that you don't do any other aspect of your life correctly. So anyway, that's what this dude's doing. This dude sees a camera and he knows his commander's in the AO, and this dude's getting the fuck out.
Не зупиняється тільки на стрілку.
Не підлазять в ночну пору.
Look at that. Look at how pristine that uniform is, and look at how muddy everything around him is. This is a commander. This dude does not spend time in those trenches.
Доби. І так, є в
And
нас
that's not to insult him. That's not to say he's not, you know, being a commander is a real job. It's some serious shit. Being a commander of a TDF unit in Avdiivka is like a hard, real job. But like, let's just acknowledge who is sitting in the ankle deep water here. But
тепловізійні
this is interesting, right?
прилади нічного бачення. Просто
Also, he's like, our brave infantry soldiers can detect them with thermal cameras. That's a commander line. But also true.
наші піхотинці славні спостерігають їх відповідно цей прилад і відповідно відкривають вогонь на ворога.
Guys, the madness of these cameras, like opening, like the madness of Russian forces approaching Ukrainian lines, knowing they have thermal cameras and they do not, is like utter madness.
Враження.
Okay, wait, let's see. Let's see if we can get a clear shot here of these guys. This is God, who filmed this? Let's see, I want one still shot. It's so blurry. Okay, some of these, all right, like this dude appears like, you can see, he's been here on the reg.
Вернулись назад.
Oh, same with these guys. Yeah, look at all this. Yeah, this is the vibe of somebody who's just been just getting shit on in these trenches, right? They look tired. They look over it. Their gear looks a little worn around the edges. I mean, look at this dude's, look at just the muzzle of this guy's AK-74. This thing is torn the fuck up.
Чіпає заряд, повертається, скидає.
Це мавіки вони використовують.
Ну, якщо спостерігає. Він не буде зависати там на...
Yeah, and look at, they're looking at him with an exact look. That's the look of, I'm listening to my commander give some dumbass speech. This dude has no idea what I'm going through, and I don't give one iota of a fuck. But I want to point out, first off, this dude's got some gear. He's got his Ukraine identifying cord, which I think is a really cool concept, the idea of a knitted cord in blue and yellow. You can see his uniform's been given by the UK government. But what's neat is he's got, okay, this is a little excessive. He's got his cat tourniquet, right? That seems to be a standard procedure for Ukrainians to have your cat tourniquet right on your shoulder. Great place for it. He's got his gloves clipped in. Perfect. He's got his cigarettes inserted into the glove. Also a Chad move. The doubling up of the carabiners is a weird call, but I respect it. What I think is weird is that he has a gigantic knife here. Now, I want to point this out. This is a professional soldier move. Or this is a sign that you're not quite a professional soldier. The knife is like this long. Let's make me big. Right? So we're going to say that the knife is a bit longer than this pencil. And it's sitting right here. Now, let's say I needed to get the knife out of the holster and use it for something. Look at where it has to go. The blade of the knife is going to pass very uncomfortably close to your carotid arteries. Okay, it comes out of the sheath. One, this is awkward. Okay, this is awkward. But two, this is your carotid, my guy. Okay, you want the knife facing down so that when you withdraw it, right, you grab it, you withdraw it, it's already in a proper formation, right? This is not a combat effective way unless you're trying to stab yourself. This is how you hold it, and then you draw it down. But here's the thing. He already has a cutting tool. He already has scissors right here. So what do you need the giant knife for? Okay? If you have a giant knife, you don't need scissors. And if you have scissors, I'm going to be honest with you guys, you don't need a giant knife. There's those scissors. There's the giant knife. But again, you can see this guy's a kid, right? And he's a TDF. It's TDF forces. I get it. And you can see in that knife, it's never come out of this holster. But that weapon's been fired.
Стрілюють, кошмарять. І потім дивляться по ситуації і можуть ще підлізти. Але ми теж стараємося їх максимально підпустити.
Yep, so they're doing probing attacks, right? They advance, they fire, they assess the Ukrainian response, and then decide if they want to push harder.
Для того, щоб було більш прицільний вистріл.
This dude's fucking look at that. That's the traits of someone who fucking hates doing this. Yeah. Look at how he wears his body armor. It's like raggedy ass. Yeah. This is somebody that fucking just hates doing this and does it all the damn time. And then there's the front lines. All right, cool. Anyway, guys, thank you as always for joining me. And more importantly, you guys know I got booted off Patreon. And maybe you're watching this right now on combatvetnews.net. Or, excuse me, combatvetnews.com. But combatvetnews.com is my own site. And we have not only the latest Ukraine news, dropping news stories every day, we also have all my YouTube videos on here for free. And if you want to become a member, it provides the same benefits as Patreon, which is to say you get access to the members-only content where we every week check out the craziest combat videos. We break them down. This one, we had some of the first GoPro footage of Russian light infantry troops in Volodar. So we really got to see how those guys are fighting. And it was pretty wild stuff. If you want to support what I do, definitely stick it to the big platforms that are trying to give me the boot. I appreciate you. Check it out, combatvetnews.com. And thanks as always. I'll see you guys in the next one.